And here at this point, I have taken the injectors out and removed the O-rings. We can see that O-rings, this was from 1 and this one was from 3, were cracked and actually kind of split. You can kind of see the split right there. Right there, you can see it. But even though 1 and 3 weren't leaking, this one was from Injector 2. You can't really see it, but one side was smushed a little flat right about there. The rest of them look all right, potentially reusable in a worst case scenario. None of them have splits or cracks. 1 and 3 weren't leaking, but 1 and 3 are the ones that were cracked. 2 and 5, and so yeah. Anyways. So here you can see I've removed the injectors, which, were labeled. There's Injector 1. Anyways, I've lubricated the tip of the injectors with Vaseline, as well as lubricated the O-rings here with Vaseline as well. And at this point, I'm going to take the injectors and insert them into the fuel rail, and then hold them in place in the fuel rail while I insert them into the grommets in the blocks here and here, and seat them in place, and then gently tighten down the mounting studs. One thing of note is that these mounting blocks here that you can see here, the silver side, if I recall correctly, goes into the head, and the black side with the insulator is what faces the fuel rail. So that's one thing that's real easy to get backwards, because you can just flip them right around, and they'll fit either way. But the black side does go towards the fuel rail. And here we have the fuel rail reinstalled. The injectors definitely seat much easier with the Vaseline, and I have the fuel rail completely tightened down. And if you watch closely, you can see that I can still rotate the injectors side to side, whereas before, without the Vaseline, it was impossible to turn the injectors. But it definitely feels like they were fully seated into the fuel rail, and the injector should sit flush and seat all the way down into the fuel rail on installation. So at this point, it's a simple matter of rehooking the fuel return at the back of the fuel rail, the fuel feed up here, reinstalling the upper manifold to the lower plenum, and just reinstalling everything that we took apart. It should be done in maybe 25-30 minutes. It may take you longer, depending on how easy it goes for you. And here we are. I have the lower manifold installed to the upper manifold. With my car in particular, there's a certain way or a certain order that things need to be done. On disassembly, the throttle body heater hose that you see there that runs between cylinder 4 and cylinder 5 actually needs to be shoved back down through, and then after reinstallation, because you can just barely see it, there's a nut that's right here, or a bolt actually, that's very difficult to get to with that in place. So you may have different results with your car. And then also on my particular one, I find that I have to first, on disassembly, remove the alternator plug, then also pull the crankcase ventilation to the valve cover, pull that out of the way, and then after the throttle body is removed and unhooked, take this throttle body heater line and pull it out of the way. So I'm to the point of reinstallation of my throttle body, and you'll notice here that 3 of the bolts are shorter, and there's one longer bolt. When we actually look at the bottom of the throttle body, you can see that one side is much longer than the other side. So don't try and install that bolt in the wrong location. It always this long bolt always goes in this bottom corner that's right there. So just be careful about that. You can strip out the sockets here in the aluminum manifold if you're not careful. So at this point, I have all of the ejectors seated, and I'm really only about 5 or 6 minutes away from being able to start it back up. I just need to install the throttle body, the cold start injector, hook the upper intake charge pipe back up, and hook the throttle linkage rod up to the throttle body. I already re-hooked up the brake line, the vacuum feed line for the master cylinder, as well as re-hooked up the throttle body line, which kind of gets in the way over here at the end of the fuel rail. So that's that. Hopefully the next one will be started up and running. Alright, so here what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the car is in neutral, and we're actually going to start up the car to check and see if the injectors are leaking. Alright, so let's check. We have fuel pressure. We're sitting right at about 40 pounds. And coil pack is hooked up. None of the injectors got unhooked, so that should be good. We do have battery. Make sure everything looks good. Let's try it again. And here you can see that it's running. I forgot to hook up the ground for the coil pack at the back of the intake manifold. It happens to sit right down there. You can just barely see it. But we don't have any leaks from injector 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5, or 6. Now, my fuel pressure right now is sitting at about 37 pounds. And we can also pinch the fuel pressure regulator line, and fuel pressure rises to about 47. It rises about 10 pounds. And then we can check again and inspect for leaks, but there are none. So that should be good. And I'm just going to turn my idle down a little here. That's the one benefit of or one perk of not having the idle speed control is it's a little more finicky to start up. So now the only thing I have left to do is reinstall the mounting bolt up here for my intake pipe, and retighten the T-bolt clamps there, and reroute my vacuum off my catch can underneath. And that's it.